Hi and welcome to the next video. This video is all about our trip up the Thames to St Katherines dock.
A sailor in Scarborough suggested it. Why? He said it was going to be really cheap. Not so far, but it's well worth the trip.
The video is mainly about navigation and what you can see as you go up the Thames. We did see some pretty extraordinary things as we went up the river. We saw a sandbar party, and as we got through the lower reaches we saw lots of greenery.
And we went through the Thames barrier and had our picture taken on the way up to Tower Bridge. So please enjoy the video.
So plenty of activity. The sailing club seems to be coming up, in mainly wayfarers, and they've got a couple of rescue boats obviously cruising up here. We're just waiting a few more minutes just to wait for the tide to slacken off a little bit at the corner. Quite Queensborough, a nice time here, lovely place to stay. I don't know why people like it. So heading up the channel now, through the moorings and out into the commercial channel. Oh well, this is jolly nice. Coming up to Sheerness, a couple of lifeboats off the port bow. Interesting old structure from, I guess during the war, it must be a fort to protect the entrance. Just crossing the end of the flats across from Sheerness. You can see how shallow it's been. I think Mary got down to 9 feet. Yeah, we tend to get a bit squirrely around 10 feet. And you can see where this historic wreck is here. That's the one that's full of explosives, so we don't want to go anywhere near that one. So once again, Mary has successfully negotiated a difficult passage around the corner. Passing the mid swatch point, and then we can head out into the channel. Looks to me like somebody got their tides wrong over there, and they're sitting waiting for the tide to come back in. Maybe they're planning a long stay because they've even got a seat out on the sand. They're sitting on the after deck getting some sun. What are you having? It's gin and tonic time, is it? No.
No.
It is pretty hot, isn't it? It must be in the 30s at the moment.
And the rest, like sitting ducks.
Yeah, I'm glad we've got the bimini up, otherwise we'd be boiling. So we've got an interesting little encampment here on the beach. Everybody seems to have dried out. They've got a barbecue running, there's parasols, there's dinghies. Yeah, having a great old time on the entrance to the Thames estuary. So this is the view along the coast from Canvey Island round to the London Gateway port. Big traffic coming down there, we'll have to avoid him. And the dock's over there. And plenty of oil storage here for London, and then back to Canvey Island where there's some sunbathing going on. This is the first large ship we've seen in the Thames. He's doing about 12 knots, so I've no doubt we'll get a bit of a wave. Coming up to where we cross over the Thames, this is a number of waypoints you need to transit the Thames. Not actually sure what the radio procedure is here, but I'm going to call London VTS and just request permission to cross over the main channel. There is an actual small craft channel, and we'll avoid all the main traffic that's coming up and down there. So this is our view coming up to the crossing point at Muckings number 7, I think it is. So we go from basically what is the east side of the channel to the west side, because as the channel's heading south at the moment. Second large vessel we've seen, the tug. Not much traffic today. It's a lovely day still on the Thames. So here we go. So here's his bow wave coming in as it's probably a 2-foot swell with breaking waves. There we go. So that's what a big ship does to a small ship in a confined channel. It's Mary looking out for any vessels. We've just crossed the channel to the other side, and now we stay on this side of the channel for the rest of the journey up to Katherines. So this is the Muckings number 5, so we're turning around to go down the side of the main shipping channel from here. So this is the first point at which we've had neutral tide. The south side of the channel, there's a dredging station over there. presume that's the dredgings from the Thames, and then they pile them up and use them, who knows, sandbags you might have in your house. Never seen that on a chart before. It's a distance marker. It says 26, presumably that's miles to or from. I'll need to check into how they work. So this is the buoy at Tilbury. So we're coming around into Tilbury dock area, and there's advisories on the pilot guides that we've got to watch out for large vessels here manoeuvring. Interestingly, in the last 10 minutes the tide's gone from neutral to not in favour of us. It changes very suddenly and is different speeds across different corners of the river. As we came around that corner it was 1 knot with us, now it's only half a knot with us. So it changes quite rapidly. Pilot just crossed our stern. He's obviously in for that vessel behind us.
International cruise terminal.
Mary's complaining that it always gets busy when I
Every time I get on, I have a huge ship up my stern.
Lots of these mooring bollards. They call them dolphins, but I have no idea why they call them dolphins. They don't look anything like a dolphin. Heavy traffic passing us. The City of Westminster, I presume he's a dredger of some sort. So we just passed Tilbury docks to starboard, and the dredger that went past us has gone up channel. He's going to Gravesend, which is round the bend from here. You see some small ships here, a few yachts moored in this corner here. I don't know what this is, some sort of maybe cement factory, or certainly producing large quantities of something, and that's Tilbury docks behind us. Having looked a bit closer, it's the Thurrock Yacht Club. That is where these boats are moored up. So it looks like they've got a nice little clubhouse there with a starter's box on the top there. And a view around the channel to Gravesend. Well, the bridge well in the distance is the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge. And Mary was asking the question, why are all the lorries stopped on it? I don't know the answer to that. And just under the river here is the Dartmouth Tunnel, of course. You can see that with the 2 grey lines on it. Very curvy, the river here. A very hot day on the Thames, and we'd already gone through 2 bottles of tonic. No gin, unfortunately, at this stage. So Archytas ploughs on up the Thames, and we come to the Queen Elizabeth II Bridge, and it is log jammed. Fueling burst, we're going past here. That's how the big boats get their fuel supplies. We have to stick a hose in the tank to get ours.
A bit of a traffic jam up on the bridge. Going nowhere fast.
Yeah, so we're kind of hoping that nobody drops anything on us from a great height, because they're upset with us motoring up the Thames and then getting nowhere. Quite interesting, all the different loading equipment that they have. I think that one sucks stuff out. It seems to have a pipe on it that it puts in the hold and sucks out some powder or grain. Or the question is, will we fit underneath here? Oh, I hope so. Oh, we did the calculations properly. Yes, we're well clear. It's 160 feet up there. So remember all those missing parcels and the ones that arrive and you're wondering, when did I order that? Well, these look like Amazon offices or warehouses, so they must deliver stuff from there or store them in there. That is one huge building. Every time you press a button to buy something, I guess some of it may well come from there. So we're watching these 2 vessels here, both from registered in Valletta. They seem to be loading containers and lorries. It's mainly containers. So you don't really expect to see greenery and wide open spaces on the approaches here. We're inside the M25 ring, and yet we're seeing a lot of greenery. So apparently this isn't quite what it seems. Mary's just had a look through the binoculars. It's got breathing holes in it, so we think it might be London's dump covered over with grass. So there we go anyway. South Bank, but you can see finally in the distance, see the cityscape that we're heading for. Here on the far side is a sailing club, looks like Erith. I think you can read from here. Yes, I think this is a dump. We can begin to smell it now in the air. You can smell the rotting whatever it is. We eventually found out that these dots on the chart are actually distances to Tower Bridge, which is quite useful for passage planning. This is the other side of the huge mountain of waste from London. We spotted a couple of canoeists in the middle here, pretty brave, but I guess it's fairly safe at this section. So judging by the seagulls here, I think we're passing a discharge point into the river. This point here must be for importing rice, because it's got Tilda rice written all over it. So that's where your rice in your curries comes from. So on this corner is Rainham Marshes, and then as we swing round here, and that's Dagenham over there on the right. So that's us passing Dagenham, and we can see the whole of Ford cars up on the top there, so they must be still producing cars here. A few geese up here, there must be enough to keep them fed. Nice to see, in amongst all the big traffic, that we've got some wildlife. Yeah, good old Ford. Produced, I guess, the Ford Escorts and the Cortinas and everything else. The early Ford. Something making a strange noise, trying to play a tune on the emergency alarm. Da-dee-da-dee-da-da-da. So this is Halfway Reach turning into Barkham Reach, and I think the control point for passage through the barriers is just around this corner. I guess not all industrial buildings have to be square. So we called VTS and requested a span to go through, and they gave us golf. So that should be the span that we go through, and it should have green arrows on it. So it should be easy enough to recognise. This is Galleon's Point, and we're just about to turn the corner and should be able to see the Thames barrier. Well, at the Albert docks and George V docks, I think they are. But they don't seem to be used at the moment. City Airport. A little confusing coming around the bend here. There's a starboard hand mark, and then there's a lot of boats moored in the middle of the channel, but these look like pilots, so keep clear of pilots. There's like a concrete mooring in the middle of the channel. So this is a time lapse of us just approaching the barrier. No, we're not going really at this speed. So beginning to see the Thames barrier now in the distance. You see some of the red markers on them. Hopefully there's a green one on the starboard side for us to go through golf span. Bridge here where we should be able to see the channel. Yeah, you can see one green light, and there should be another one, and I think that's the passage we go through. This is the Woolwich Ferry, crosses over just before the barriers. Here we are approaching the barriers. You probably can't see on the video very clearly, but the right hand span beyond the one that's got the barrier up is the one we need to go through, and it's the narrower of the spans on the starboard side. All fairly clear when you were aboard. You're able to see it pretty clearly. You can span from the right hand, the starboard side is lifted. I think it's probably for maintenance, but normally they're swung down and they kind of circular motion, and the gate then sits in a pocket on the bottom and obviously blocks all the water coming up or downstream, and that protects London from a surge of tide that might come down the North Sea. That's the danger. And you'll notice how it protects mainly the city where all the money is. Thanks, they're all up in the office there. So thanks very much. Transit through the tidal barrier, Thames barrier control. The big gate there now, it's a bit clearer. I was getting myself lined up to go through here. There's 2 knots of current sloshing us through there. We don't want to get to one side or the other. We could get sucked into the side and scratch. Impressive bits of kit. When you get close to them, they really are big. Along. Wow, that's the gate that turns and all the machinery.
feet.
And it says through. Well, 14 feet we've got down to. And we're out the other side. So that was another milestone in the career of yachtswoman Mary Chaplin. So what did you think of going through the Thames barrier?
Quite good actually. It's quite wide, plenty of room.
We're going quite fast though, aren't we?
Yeah, the tide's taking us through. We've got at least a knot and a half with us. Just under a knot now. So we've not only got the cable cars, but we've got the O2 dome as well.
This is just as approaching the O2 dome, and the gondolas passing over the top here.
A bit more of the O2. Cover a fair amount of space.
Uber's boats zipping about. One of the rivers that runs into the Thames is Bull Creek. This is the entrance into the East India Dock. A lot of trade went through there over the years. Interesting how they've built layers of buildings behind them. So they've got smaller buildings here at the front, even an original Victorian or Edwardian building, and then 20-story blocks, and then 30-story blocks, and then 100-story blocks going up into the sky. So this is Blackwell Reach. So we're coming around the corner of the O2. This is Blackwell Reach. Seems pretty straightforward. It's just the London Uber super boats that seem coming crashing past us. It's a problem. The wake. We're just counting down here. We're at Greenwich at the wharf. We're counting down. You can see our westings. We're counting down to 0, hopefully. We're past the meridian. Counting down again. So this is Greenwich, now holds a number of university buildings. Little moored here is the Cutty Sark, one of the last tea clippers built in Scotland in 1869. Although she was a tea clipper, she actually spent most of her life shipping wool back from Australia. There's the Poplar, Blackwell and District Rowing Club. On the chart it shows us just having passed over a tunnel here. It's actually a foot tunnel, but it was built in 1902.
Cruises. Going a bit more of a sedate pace than the last one did.
So this is crazy stuff, eh? Look at this. It's bonkers. What idiots, honestly. There's this Canary Wharf. We're just turning the corner. The other side is called Columba Wharf. A lot of traffic here, a lot of sloppy water. See how much more turbulent it is here than it was on the lower reaches. It's just all the traffic that's sloshing about in here and doing 30 knots. So the statue of the man in the river here is supposed to be by Anthony Gormley, who of course did the Angel of the North. Yeah, navigation's not that easy here. There's a mooring buoy there in the sunlight, and when the water's glinting like that, it's hard to see what's going on. So next turn right. This is as in Liverpool, should see the bridge. Interesting pub there, the Prospect of Whitby. Oh, we've come a long way since Whitby. Called Bobby Station, Thames Police. Sailing barge over this side. Sails all down but ready to go. Quite a few sailing barges along there. Boys in blue on the water today.
There we go, we got to Tower Bridge. Further to go, I don't think.
So after a lovely trip up the Thames, we're a little bit early. So we're having to wait for water at St Katherines. It's quite difficult to judge your distance coming up the river, especially with the tide behind you, running at different rates as it comes around bends and things. It's difficult to know.
Here we are, right next to Tower Bridge. Might be as close as we're going to get to it. So we're waiting for water now, so we can go into that lock. over there.
So Mary prepared some dock lines and fenders for the entrance into Katherines dock. Entrance into Katherines dock's pretty easy. You literally drive through the dock gates. There's a pontoon on the starboard side and they take you in the office and sign you in, and then the bridge opens and lets you through. Well, this is sunset in St Katherines and we've had enough heat for the day. We're going for a beer. Okay, so we've safely arrived in St Katherines dock, all safe but a bit sweaty. Cheers everyone, safe arrivals. Lovely place, Katherines dock, very quiet, very settled and peaceful. Well, we made it into the dock. Not a bad little place for an evening. There's another one of the Oysters yachts in over the back there. He's come from Lymington, I think. He came in yesterday, so maybe we'll say hi to him. So we're in the central basin and this is I guess the eastern basin. I don't know, we'll check when we get back. This is a couple of barges in here, a few motor vessels, no one sailing vessel. Even the ducks have a little house here. Not quite your average marina offices, but very nice. And toilet block as well. Comes with its own bridge and dock. And a fine view to end the day. Hope you enjoyed our scorching trip up the Thames.
And watch our next video to see what we did in our big day out in London.
We checked out the Queen's row barge Gloriana.
And we went for a paddle. And we also went to have a look at HMS Belfast.
And then we made our way back down the Thames to Queensborough.
So please like, share, comment and subscribe. It's all free. And please click the bell button for our next episodes. Bye.
Bye.